to the Paws Between Us podcast.
Co-hosted by best friends
Natalie
and Sacha. We're lifelong animal lovers and proud pet parents. No kids, just fur. And between us, we share our lives with
cats Murray and Weaver.
and Betty the pug.
In each episode, we'll dive into the joys and challenges of living with our furry companions, sharing honest stories, laughter, and sometimes a few tears.
We'll also bring in special guests to offer expert back tips and everyday practices for keeping your pets happy, healthy, and loved. We'll also hear from the ordinary people like us, living extraordinary lives with their pets.
Please note, some episodes may touch on sensitive topics or contain strong language. Listener discretion is advised.
So hi, Nat, our very first podcast.
Hello, I know, this is exciting. It's a long time coming. I'm glad we're finally here.
Yes, me too. How are you feeling?
I'm all right. I feel like we've been practicing a bit now, so I'm kind of less nervous, but I am, it's a bit of a, it's a big step. So,
It
but no,
is.
I'm excited by it. It's good. What about you?
Yeah, same. I'm excited too. A little bit nervous, but I am keen to get started. It's made me think a lot about why I want to do this podcast and why others should tune in and listen. But it is great to co-host with you. We've been friends for a long time, haven't we? I mean, what, over 30 years?
Yeah, I know. God, can you even
Yeah,
believe we're saying that that's
I know.
time that's passed?
30
we,
years.
yeah, I think we met at secondary school, didn't we? So we're probably about 11, first class in
Yeah.
secondary. Yeah,
We
hung
were.
out ever
Yeah.
since.
Yeah, I know. And in that time, we've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly in our lives.
Yeah, there has been some difficulties, but also lots of fun because we've had lots of good nights out and hanging out as a group, as in our friendship group's been nice. It's been a lovely. We've done lots of fun things with our animals, and been through lots of times, haven't we, with different pets.
We have, yeah, we have. And I think it's fair to say I couldn't think of a better person to co-host a podcast with as a fellow pet parent. I think I remember you having hamsters as a teenager. When I first met you, you had 2 or 3 hamsters. Is that right?
I had loads of hamsters. Yeah, I always had a pair. And unfortunately, I think at times I got different genders, so I ended up with babies at one
Um,
time. Yeah, I had lots of hamsters. I love the hamsters. I always had a cat as well. But I think there was a time when Dad wasn't so keen on pets, so there was a time when we didn't have a cat. So I was very keen to get my own when I grew up. But yeah, and I know you always had dogs around, and I remember there being puppies in the house, really cute little terrier puppies or something similar when we were little.
Yep, Jack Russells. My mom
Jack
had a partner who loved Jack Russells, and we had Bruce, the Jack
Bruce.
Russell. And then, yeah, later on we got, I think she was called Ella, and they had babies together. But before that, I had kittens, or we had cats. And then before that, growing up, I had dogs. So when I was small, my mum and dad had an Alsatian called Shane. And then later on, we had a mongrel called Cuddles, who was a rescue dog. So dogs and cats have always played a big part of my life. And I did have rabbits actually when I was little. My dad had some rabbits that he used to take to shows.
Oh wow.
So yeah, and my sister had hamsters and a gerbil, but I was never so bothered about those. But I love all animals. So
Yeah, I've always been an animal lover. Yeah, I've mainly always had cats, but my grandparents had a dog Jet who I adored, and he was such a good boy. And when I was little, I used to have races with him because it was just me and him when we used to go away. So it's so cute.
that is cute. Yeah, I think, thinking about my wider family, I also had grandparents with a dog, and my aunties had dogs. We come from a long line of dog and cat lovers. So yeah, I feel like it's in my DNA and have a story about that, but I won't share that just now. But yeah, I mean, we both love animals. We're both very passionate about taking care of our animals and sharing this love really with other people and connecting with others to learn. Because although we've been looking after pets for a long time, there's still lots that we don't know and we're keen to find out about.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's one of the reasons actually for doing this for me,
Yes.
such as like learning a little bit
Yeah.
because I've just done done the things the way that have come naturally to me. I've always felt like I'm in tune with my animals, but I've never really
Mm.
learnt or sought out any advice particularly. So part of this, I think, will help us do some of that.
Yeah, definitely. That's it. I spend a lot of time online Googling things about how to take care of the little pug that I have called Betty.
Tell us about Betty while we're on the subject. Go on.
Yeah, okay, yep. So I have a pug called Betty. She's now 11, so she's a senior pug. We rescued her when she was only a year and a half, and she was discarded by a breeder and came to us in quite a state, actually. She had thrush in her fur, and it was a yeast infection which gave off a distinct odour. I thought thrush was only something we found in our ladies' parts, not a dog's fur, so that was a learning. But she's a curious, loving, cheeky dog. And like all pugs, she loves to sleep and she's food obsessed. So on the sleeping bit, you can hear a little muffled sound or a little snoring sound in the background. That's Betty sat beside me right now. As a pug, she loves to burp and fart a lot as well, because that comes, I think, with all the food she eats.
Ooh,
And she developed separation anxiety after the pandemic. So before that, we could leave her for a couple of hours, but now she howls by the door, even if family members sit with her while we're out.
oh.
So that's been tough because she's like my little shadow. And as much as I love having her by my side, like she is now, we have had to adapt her lifestyle to ensure that she can be with us and come to us to places. But I suppose that's great living in a city like London, which is where I'm based. There's lots of dog friendly places to go.
Mm.
But she's getting older now and she's approaching her twilight years. There's obviously many challenges that come with having an older dog, particularly in terms of her mobility and her creaky joints. And up until recently, we'd go for fairly long walks, but now it's a bit hit and miss. And she can be up for it one day and then not the next. And her legs are starting to wobble. She seems a bit stiff. She's not keen to walk, and she doesn't like jumping on and off the sofa or up on the bed. So there's a lot of barking orders at me. So she barks at me a lot so she can be picked up, which
Oh.
is a new behaviour. But yeah, I mean, I am a little bit concerned about that, and I'm going to the vet soon just to find out a bit more about what's going on. But I've been
Mm.
adding some salmon oil to her food and giving her U-Move supplements for joint care. So you can find those easily online and ensure she stays warm throughout the day, which minimises her stiffness. Apparently, there is lots of research into the benefits of marine
Mm.
based omega 3 for older dogs in
Yeah.
terms of helping with their arthritis and creaky joints and things like that. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's Betty. So I'll keep you posted on what the vet says about her back legs, but I am worried. So
Yeah. It is a big worry when they it's hard with animals, isn't it? Because they can't tell you what's happening. They can't
mm,
tell you if they're in any pain, and you have to just sort of try and read what's going on and get the best advice you can and try and do your best to help them. But it is really hard. It's so stressful I get deeply affected when my animals aren't well. And we had a poorly cat ragdoll Roscoe who I think maybe died now, maybe coming up. I think it might be 2 years, and it's gone so fast. But yeah, he had a cancer and oh, it was just devastating. It's horrible. And
mm.
you're trying to give them medicines and you hope that that's the best thing for them. At the time they don't want to take the medicine or they're not looking well, and it's like it's really hard. It played on my mind every day, and it made it really difficult to get through some things. And I don't know if people really realize, or I think people do realize, but it's not really talked about the kind of the emotional effects and impacts that when an animal's not well or when you're worried about an animal it can have on you. And society doesn't really stop and pause for that, despite everybody talking about it now. Though it seems so much more in the conversation. It's a strange old thing because everyone empathizes immediately if you've lost a parent or your sibling isn't well or your child's poorly. People kind of seems to empathize, but it doesn't seem as I don't know, it doesn't seem as kind of acceptable as much. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think pets, like our dogs and cats, are part of the family. So when they're unwell, when you're unwell, when they're unwell, you worry about them. You want them to be well. You don't want to see them suffering. And pet loss is huge.
Mm.
I mean, we've both got stories about pet loss, haven't we? And maybe it's a topic for a future podcast on how to cope and what to do if you're losing a pet.
And that's when the tears will come in, I'm sure.
Indeed, indeed. Have tissues ready for that. Yeah, I remember Roscoe. Roscoe was a lovely cat.
Oh, he was the bestest boy.
But yeah, tell us
About
about
Weaver and
Weaver and
Murray.
Murray. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, we call them the evil twins. I've never had two cats together, so this is kind of like a new little thing for me. But they're 6.5 years old now, so they've kind of pretty much grown up and used to us. We're used to them. But yeah, they're brother and sister, and they're just hilarious. They make my days funny and
Mm.
fun. They just amuse me all the time. Like Murray's a big softie. I think this is typical boy cats. I've seen some things on like TikTok and social media, like boy cats are more cuddly and just want love. And Murray's definitely that, though he's a bit like a teenager. And sometimes he's like, don't touch me, don't touch me. And other times he's like, oh, love me, love me. And he's like looking up at you, making like solid eye contact, looking into your
Oh.
soul. And you're like, oh, you beautiful thing. Weaver has just got all the personality. She's cheeky, she's chatty, she's just silly, she does stupid things, she goes mad and chases and runs around. She's talkative. She's just makes me laugh all the time. I don't know. I've found over my pet ownership or cat ownership or my guardianness of animals that girl cats, in my opinion, have been way more full of personality and funniness, and boys are just kind of there being sweet and very sensitive. But others may say different. But yeah, the two of them are lovely and they bring a lot of joy to my life. Bless them. They are my babies and I love them to bits. And I mean, Weaver's been poorly and we're sort of treating her at the moment. We had a very scary thing happen about a year ago, which again, I'll come on to in another podcast. But she's doing well at the moment, actually. And you mentioned supplements, and one of our previous vets suggested that that might be helpful for some back problem that they identified. So we've just started on some, glucosamine and other bits like that, the
Mhm.
omega 3s.
Yeah.
So we'll
Yeah.
see how she gets on. She seems to enjoy them. I can't get the same ones into Murray, so I'm going to have to dig out some different ones for him. But she's scoffing them up, which is perfect for me. So I don't have to stress about that. So
Ah,
yeah.
that's good. Yeah, I sometimes smell supplements and they do smell very dog and cat like. So I'm assuming they make them tasty.
Mm.
Smell a bit meaty or a bit fishy. But
Oh yeah, for a
yeah,
cat, fussy cats will like sniff anything out they don't like, and he'll never touch it again.
okay. All right. But I do hear a lot about the sort of, they say boy cats, girl dogs always get a cat who is a boy because they're very loving, and girl dogs are a bit more
Oh right.
friendly. But I don't know if that's just a
Ah.
silly myth. I mean, clearly it's generalizing here. But I had a boy cat called Jagger probably about 10 years ago, and he was
I
very lovely
remember
as
Jagger.
well, and a bit yeah, a bit human like, but I suppose they all are. They all have their own personalities, don't they? And they're all very unique.
Absolutely.
And yeah, just brings so much joy. I mean, I think that's my motivation really for this podcast. And I know it's yours about we love animals and love spending our time with them and we love talking about them. And I love sharing this love with anyone who feels the same. I recently heard Pete Wick say that he prefers dogs to humans, and I'm in that category. I think the dog travert, and you're probably the cat travert, someone who prefers socializing with dogs or cats rather than humans. But I do love hanging out with you though. So
Of
it's not
course.
all about the dogs and cats. But I definitely find it hard to hang out with people who say they don't like animals. And I definitely struggle to be around anyone who isn't keen on Betty. And if they make it obvious, I hate them even more. I think some people can be they can really show their disliking of your pet. Whereas if you've had a child, they wouldn't.
Mm.
So you wouldn't say to someone who had a child, keep your child away from me, or your child is really smelly, like people do with pets. They think it's okay to say things like that.
Yeah.
Get your dog away from me. But they wouldn't say it to someone with a child. And Betty is my fur baby. So yeah, I appreciate some people are scared of animals though. But there is a difference between fear and lack of appreciation.
Mm.
But I'm in the love all animals camp.
Yeah, me too. And very nicely, as you're talking through that last bit there, Betty's pointing pointing out the end of your sentences with a big old snore.
Oh, is she? Okay.
It's brilliant.
Let's see what it sounds like then. I might have to put her in another room, although that's gonna be hard
No,
because she'll
no.
probably bark then.
Oh no, it's lovely. It makes she's with you. I haven't got my cats. They're like out on the hallway. But
Yeah. Well, when we record with video in time to come, you'll see Betty sat next to me, so
oh.
that'll be even better. But yeah, what's in the pet world in terms of news this month? Is there anything that's cropped up that be good to chat about or good to hear
Yeah,
about?
do you know what? There's a lot more than I ever realised. I think again,
Mm.
because I've only really just sort of turned on my radar. I mean, I've been a cat and animal lover all my life. I'm vegetarian from being about 16 and I'm in my late 40s now. But never really kind of yeah, turned my radar onto some of the stories because I was always quite sensitive to them. I still am, but found some good ones over the last couple of weeks and hope to kind of keep everybody up to date with some of the new stuff. So some of them are like what's happening in different countries. Some of them are just like interesting facts. So one of them I read from the International Cat Care Charity was that the purrs of a cat are as unique as a fingerprint. So every cat has their own little purr signature. And obviously, I think a lot of people know that apparently they think purring is quite a good healing. It's got healing properties for the cats. And so it's got a very positive effect. But it doesn't always mean that they're happy. So this is where cats confuse me sometimes. So I'm wanting to learn more about this. But anyway, moving on. In France, pet care is being added to the school curriculum so that kids learn about more about respect, compassion, and the sentience of animals, which to me sounds like an amazing thing. In Sweden, they are the first country, apparently, where all egg laying hens are going to be completely cage free because I think some of them are still kept in cages and kept in confined spaces. So they're actually going to give them space to roam, peck, perch, go outside. So it's not all enclosed, which is an amazing
Yay.
progressive thing.
Yeah,
But
brilliant.
something different in the Netherlands, they've decided to ban a couple of cat breeds, including the Scottish Fold and the Sphinx. Now, this is due to some of the disorders that come along with those particular breeds. So, like skin and hair problems or sensory problems for the Sphinx in particular. I mean, yeah, it's a tricky one, that one. It is a sad thing because obviously, if you don't see these types of breeds around anymore, that would be really, really sad. But I can also see that they don't want to continue to have those animals suffering with those certain conditions. So I can see why it's kind of a bit of a difficult topic, but also maybe moving towards something a little positive. Who knows? We'll have to see how that one pans out. I'm sure for a lot of owners, that's a tricky one to get in.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm not familiar with this breed of cat, but I do feel strongly that no cat or dog should suffer to look a certain way. And I'm very conscious that I have a pug pugs as a breed do have certain health challenges. And yeah, I think breeds like Betty, the brachiophilic breeds, have short muzzles and flat faces. And I do try in every way to be a responsible pet parent and things like keeping her cool in the summer and managing her weight. And often when I say I have a pug, I can see people looking at me with a little bit of distaste. And I kind of get it because I know that there are challenges with the breed. And I rescued Betty when she was a year and a half. And I'm not sure I would get a pug as a puppy. But at the same time, I wanted a pug because I love their personalities.
Yeah.
And I would have been more than happy to have a pug with a longer snout to ensure that they could breathe better and more effectively. I do wish Betty wouldn't put on as weight so easily. I mean, I'm sure we all have that challenge. And the weight means that the weight affects her breathing. So you have
Yeah.
to really keep her weight down, which is hard when she's so food obsessed.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It is difficult. I mean, yeah, it's like I had a Persian cat and they also have some of them have, well, I don't know enough about this, and this is where we'll probably get some expert advice in future
Mm.
podcasts. I know some of them have flatter faces than others. But, you love those animals, don't you? And you rescued Betty. She was there. She's got her life. So you, by giving her that second, that new chance, a new life, that's all positive, isn't it? You can only do the thing that's right by you at the time and make some, positive decisions. You do so much good stuff for animals and take care of other people as well. That you know.
Yeah, yeah, I do try. I do try. But and great news about the French curriculum. That can only be
Mm,
a good thing. I'm aware that the
absolutely.
RSPCA have campaigned for some time that animal welfare education should be taught to all children as part of formal schooling. And they believe that this would build compassion, empathy, and respect for animals and key life skills, while also reducing animal cruelty caused by ignorance. And we're all on a learning journey with our pets, and helping people learn when they're young is a great place to start. But as we said at the
Mm,
start of this podcast, we're still always learning as pet parents, and sometimes we get things wrong, and we don't mean to be
no.
cruel or do things that aren't good for pets. But
Yeah,
yeah.
it's even through growing up, when I was a kid, looking back now, I know there's things that I probably should have done or I could have done differently, but you're just a bit naive. And I was driven by love
Mm,
and was trying to do my best. I never did anything particularly bad or cruel, but there was just, now with hindsight and a bit of education and kind of having more animals, you kind of think, oh, I could have given that animal a bit better lifestyle through this, that, or the other. But, we're all kind of on that path. And I don't think this is probably one of the things I wanted to say was that it's not about judging and being judgmental about anybody because we're all human at the end of the day and we're all just trying our best as long as your kind of intentions are good and you learn from kind of what you're hearing and you educate yourself, then that's all you can do. So yeah, no judgment here.
no.
And people will have different opinions on things. We're going to be talking about topics and we'll be talking to kind of different experts, and people may not agree with their opinion, and we may not as well, but we're all kind of here to hear each other's point of view and then come to our own consensus about it. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. It'd be good to kind of
Yeah.
get a bit of a difference of opinion. It's always good to hear.
Yeah, yeah, no, exactly. I think like dogs and cats being so unique, I think the experiences of pet parents are also unique based on the challenges and the things that they're grappling with and what's going on in their lives. So
Hmm.
yeah, no judgment with us. And I mean, in terms of things that we can explore in the future and things that we're passionate about, I mean, what else are you keen to explore in the podcast, Nat?
Yeah, so as I said, I think I really would like to just hear from many more pet parents, animal guardians, furry baby mummies, whatever the term is you want to call yourself.
Love it. Yeah.
There's lots of new words coming out. Just to share their love and their companionship and like make it the norm to talk about your love for your animal. And I also really am keen to listen to those who have got like either support animals, service animals, some friends I can talk to who've got guide dogs, and I'd love to understand not only their perspective but kind of their experience of kind of getting their dog's healthcare or their animal's healthcare sorted out, because obviously having a vision impairment may add challenges to that. But also, yeah, I want to provide tips and expert advice for everybody and to get some experts in, as we said, like behaviorists, veterinary nurses, all kinds of different people. And one of my main drivers, because of my background and the work I've done over the years, is learning about people's experiences and turning that into some sort of change or action. So, learning about insights, learning about what experiences you've had, and using that knowledge to give back to the decision makers and like help to move the dial on stuff or share awareness about what people are experiencing with their animals. So yeah, through research, through conversations, and I hope to do some of those in future where we can talk to some of our listeners and really learn about some of the experiences that they're having and how that can help make a difference in terms of products or healthcare. Healthcare is a big one for me at the minute, or toys and similar stuff. Anything that people are kind of needing to kind of help make their pets' lives better. Enrichment is a big thing at the moment, and I'm
Mm.
trying to look at enrichment ideas for my lovely kitties. So yeah, lots of stuff like that. What about you, Sash? Is there anything more we've not said today that you'd be looking to do in the podcast?
I mean, everything you've said, I'm really excited about and can't wait to get going with exploring different things. And, I want to explore everything there is to know about taking care of our pets. And I'm excited to learn from the special guests that we'll speak to and hopefully pick up some tips and advice for me and for Betty, as well as helping some of our listeners. In terms of the things I'm passionate about or important to me, I mean, there is a lot. I want to continue trying to give Betty the best life possible. So I'm focused on things like nutrition, health, exercise in an appropriate way. Now Betty is older and some of the mobility challenges that she has means that she can't exercise as much. So I'm looking into things that she can do to keep her active that don't put as much strain on her joints. As you know, I run a pet food bank in my spare time, so I'm very aware of how the cost of living crisis impacts pets and their caregivers. And I do really strongly believe that all dogs and cats should have access to nutritious, high quality food. So nutrition is linked to the health, behaviour, and overall well-being, and there's lots of research and evidence into that. So it's something I'd like to
Absolutely.
explore because I'm very conscious of the food I eat. And I do try to avoid ultra processed food. And that means I've got thinking about what I feed Betty is kibble and tins. They're quite processed. So what are the downsides to that? And then as she's older, I'm thinking about how best to take care of her as a senior and ensure she continues to live a long, happy life. I did tell someone the other day that I have a pug who's 11, and they were like, wow, 11, your girl is 11, that's amazing. And I thought, well, is it? Because 11 doesn't sound that old to me, but I'm conscious that some pugs don't live to that age. They don't live that long. And so
Mm.
I've kind of got to set a goal of 15, 16, and yeah, maybe I
Oh,
need to be a bit more realistic with that. But
oof. Yeah.
yeah, super proud that she's 11, but I don't see her as a senior pug, but I've spotted signs now, like I've talked about earlier, that means, yeah, she's getting a bit older. So very conscious of that, really want to explore that. And
Yeah.
yeah, just also compare the similarities and differences to dogs and cats, and then also other furry creatures.
Mm.
So yeah, I think we said, didn't we? We want to not just focus on dogs and cats in this podcast. We want to think about other pets. So rabbits, hamsters, guinea pigs,
Yeah.
reptiles,
Horses, reptiles.
horses,
Yeah. Yeah.
all these things, and hear from people that love their pets and where all these different pets really enrich their lives. So bring it on is what I would say.
Same here. Yeah, I cannot wait to
Yes.
explore lots of stuff. I mean, there's so many topics that we want to dig into. And then when we get a bigger following, it'd be great for people to suggest stuff we can look into,
Mm,
talk to. We've got quite a few contacts we can use, and it'll
yeah.
be brilliant to get some of those experts and other experienced people who just own pets or have an animal companion. So just yeah, I'm really looking forward to digging into it all, finding out what the lowdown is and kind of what
Mm.
we can do, how we can help animals, ultimately making our lives better and making our lovely little furry babies' lives better. What more could we do?
Well said. Well said. I think that's a good way of ending this first ever podcast, Pause Between Us. I want to say a huge thank you for being our first listeners if you've tuned into this. And thank you for being curious about what we have to say. So
Yeah,
super appreciated. Whether you're a dog mum or a dog dad or care for cats or love all creatures great and small, I think you're in the right place. And we're going to really look forward to hearing from our listeners as we go. So yeah, share your ideas and thoughts on the type of things we can talk about and the different guests that we can invite. So yeah, thank
brilliant.
you.
Yeah, thank you. Looking forward to hearing from you all, and thanks for the support.
Yay, indeed,
See
thank
you
you.
soon.
Yeah, high five, pause up. Take care.